News Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen is here with us. James, these candidates have plans in varying degrees of detail about this. What can you tell us?
Good evening. Both presidential nominees have vowed to do more to keep Americans safe from terrorism, starting with an expanded effort against ISIS. Democrat Hillary Clinton calls the defeat of the radical Islamic Caliphate in Syria and Iraq her highest counterterrorism goal. But her plan involves much that President Obama has already been doing.
We have to smash ISIS's strongholds with an accelerated coalition air campaign, more support for Arab and Kurdish forces on the ground, and intense diplomatic efforts in Syria, Iraq, and across the region.
Republican Donald Trump usually refuses to divulge his anti-ISIS strategy, saying he doesn't want the enemy to know his plans, but he has spoken of the U.S. backing up troop deployments from other countries, and over a year ago he disclosed another component of his plan to our Bill O'Reilly.
Once you go over and take back that oil, they have nothing.
But how do you take it back?
Right, you have to go in. You have to go in.
With ground troops.
Well, you bomb the hell out of them, and then you encircle it, and then you go in, and you let Mobil go in, and you let our great oil companies go in.
Right.
Once you take that oil, they have nothing left.
A former Secretary of State and Senate Armed Services Committee member, Clinton also promises on her campaign website to launch what she calls an intelligence surge, in which she will persuade European intelligence services to share more data with the U.S. She also favors restrictions on assault weapons and fostering better relationships between police and Muslim American communities. Donald Trump's campaign website has pages for issues and positions, but neither features any content on the subject of terrorism. Elsewhere on the site, however, and on the stump, the real estate billionaire has vowed that attacks like this weekend's in New York and Minnesota, quote, will be stopped if he becomes president, in part due to the, quote unquote, extreme vetting he plans to impose on immigrants from countries of national security concern. And Trump has also vowed just today to treat even U.S. citizens, Brit, who are accused of terrorism as enemy combatants.
James, thank you very much.
You bet.
Good to have you here. To assess the candidates' plans and their possible effectiveness, Fox News military analyst, the retired four-star general, and Fox News contributor General Jack Keane is here. General, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Bruce.
So you know as much as anybody, I suspect, about what these candidates are proposing. First of all, your thoughts on what's needed to combat this threat, broadly speaking, and your thoughts about the sufficiency of the candidates' plans.
Well, broadly speaking, you have to recognize that radical Islam has morphed into a global jihad. We need a comprehensive strategy to deal with that. We also should put together alliances to deal with it, very similar to what we did with communist ideology post-World War II. We organized ourselves politically and militarily, and we brought together countries that saw that as a common threat. We are not doing any of that. That is job number one.
Now, does either of the candidates' plans satisfy you on that count?
No. There's no plan from the Clinton side to do that, which is pretty much what Obama is doing right now, with the added point that James made about an intelligence surge and also an accelerated air campaign. Trump does make the point he wants to bring a coalition together to talk about it. If that leads to what I'm suggesting we desperately need, then we're making some real progress.
Has he been sufficiently specific about how he plans to do this to satisfy you?
No. Clinton does have a bit of a plan there, but it's an inadequate one. Trump doesn't get into the details of the plan whatsoever. What he does say is that his generals, he wants them to report out to him with a comprehensive campaign plan in 30 days. Now, that's a good thing because it demonstrates something we don't have now, sense of urgency. War is a test of wills. And you've got to get behind a plan, and you have to have a sense of urgency to get something done.
But wouldn't a sense of urgency at this stage of a campaign translate into having an actual plan?
You would think it would, and particularly as long as we are into this thing. And possibly we'll see something before the election, but I doubt it now.
James touched on this. What does Secretary Clinton mean by an intelligence surge?
I don't know what that means. I do think what she's talking about is the intelligence agencies would come together, focus on a common problem, and share the intelligence better than we're doing right now. I can tell you for a fact that our intelligence agencies are working overtime on this problem with radical Islam. They have leaned into this for years.
And is it your sense as well that the failures of cooperation that we saw prior to 9/11 have largely been resolved?
In the United States, for sure.
Right.
We have counterterrorism task forces spread out across the country. We have a central one here in Washington, D.C. In Europe, no. They have never picked up on that one thing.
Now, how about the foreign intelligence agencies' cooperation with our intelligence agencies?
Yes, it's actually excellent.
But with what you're concerned about is that they're not cooperating with each other.
They don't cooperate with each other, and after all, we have a huge network of terrorists inside Europe. They know it's there. Many of them came in as part of the refugees. Some of them are just returnees who came back in on false passports.
Right.
But they have absolute bona fide networks in about 4 countries.
Now, you heard Donald Trump talk about the primacy, in his view, of immigration and our immigration policies in dealing with this problem such as we had over the weekend. What's your thought about that? Is that central in your view to dealing with this?
Well, I think domestically, certainly increase in vetting makes sense. And certainly focusing on obviously the terrorist countries makes sense to do that. He would ban anybody from those countries. I think we can get the vetting right myself. And I think we're proving that to ourselves with this last bunch of Syrian refugees that came in, 110,000. Closing the border has always made compelling sense from a national security perspective. And I think it needs to be done. And I think the case is overwhelming that it needs to be done.
You mean closing the border, period, until the vetting improves? Is that what you're talking about?
Closing the border so that we absolutely have bona fide security at the border. And that we do know who's coming across that border, and we don't have this.
So you agree with him that we don't know now?
Oh, we don't know. And, you know, anybody that talks to Border Patrol will tell you. I mean, it's an open border as far as they're concerned, in so many places that they're not able to control it.
Wow. General Keane, great to have you. Thanks very much.
Good talking to you.